Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen for Lawn Fawn, and in today's video, I am going to be creating a shape card using the coffee cup gift card holder. I thought it would be really pretty to decorate this in more of a fall theme, so I'm also going to be using the Sunny Sunflower die set. I'm going to start by creating my actual shape card. So I'm starting with a piece of white cardstock. This is the 80-pound cardstock from Lawn Fawn, and I already have it trimmed to 4¼ by 11, and I scored it at 5½. So I created a top folding note card. Then I'm taking this main cup die piece from the coffee cup gift card holder, and I'm going to line it up towards the top of that folded edge. So you can see there when I hold it up, I have it just slightly past the folded line, so that when I run it through my die cut machine, it is not going to cut on my scored line. This creates a shape card. I think this is such a fun and unique surprise for the recipient. So now we can start decorating the front of that. I'm going to use that same die that creates the main cup. I'm going to die cut it from some sage leaf cardstock. I have the wrapper I'm cutting from some paper bag wood grain cardstock, and the topper is going to be from white cardstock. So this can be really for any season just by changing up the color of your cardstock or even using some patterned paper for this. I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of detail to my cup, so I am going to do some ink blending on it with the Fall Leaves stencil. I started by putting a little bit of repositionable tape on the back of that die cut piece, and that's going to just temporarily hold it in place while I do my stenciling. I place the first layer of the stencil over the top of my cup, and I'm going to hold that down with some washi tape, but I also kind of want to show myself where I need to go for my next layer. So I took some more washi tape and I just lined it up flush with the edge of the stencil down in that bottom right-hand corner. Next, I'm going to take some sage leaf ink and I'm going to blend that over this first layer of the stencil. Now, you could have a lot of fun with this by doing different colors, maybe some fall colors, or even some sort of stencil paste. But I really just wanted a subtle background, and you're not going to see a ton of it once I start decorating it. So that was the first layer of the stencil. I'm taking the second layer. I'm just lining that bottom right-hand corner up with my washi tape, so that way I get an eyeball of where my leaves are supposed to line up. Again, holding that down with the washi tape and blending with that sage leaf ink. To add a little bit more detail and fun to this pattern, I'm going to bring this over to my splat box and I'm splattering it with some white paint. So that's just kind of a fun look I like to do when it comes to my backgrounds. I took the Sunny Sunflower die and did my die cutting off screen, so I have the main flower die cut twice from Sticky Note. I have the center die cut from Chocolate Bar, and then the leaves I did from Algae and Noble Fir, because I wasn't sure if I wanted really dark leaves or if I wanted more of that light greenery. I'm going to step up my die cuts a little bit by adding some ink blending. So first I started out with Sunflower ink, which is a really nice, it's one of my favorite yellows actually, and it's just a nice bright color. I'm using a blending brush and I start in the center of the flower and work my way around the petals on both die cut pieces, but I wanted more contrast to this. So I brought in number 2 pencil ink and did the same thing. I started in the center and blended out towards the edge of the petals. If you really want to bump it up, you could use a brown ink to go over that, or you could start with a darker color cardstock. I was struggling a little bit on my glass mat getting my die cuts to stay in place, so I brought out the stamp wheel, which has that sticky mat. So the grip of the sticky mat is holding my die cuts in place. Now these are the leaves that I die cut from Algae cardstock, and I'm coming in with jalapeno ink. And then I'm going to do the darker leaves. These were cut from Noble Fir. I started with Noble Fir ink, but I decided I wanted just some more contrast. I really like the dark colors. So I brought in Deep Sea because I didn't have a green in the Lawn Fawn collection that was darker than Noble Fir. And when you add blue over green, you get some really pretty colors. For the center of the sunflower, I die cut that from the Chocolate Bar cardstock. And I didn't really have a super dark brown. And instead of going black, which would be almost too harsh, I brought in soot. So this is a really nice color. It's a dark gray, but it's not so harsh as black. Now I can work on assembling my flower. So I have my 2 layers here for my sunflower. I'm going to add some thin foam squares behind the center. Then once I remove the backing, I can place this over the top and just slightly offsetting it. So I have petals coming in from behind and then on the front. And you could always kind of zhuzh up your petals a little bit if you wanted to add some fluff to them. I also added some thin foam squares behind the center of the flower. I like the thinner foam squares because it adds just a little bit of lift without too much dimension. I added tape runner behind my die cut piece that I did with the stencil, and I'm placing that over the top on my shaped card. So that way it'll be able to open up and I have this really pretty decorated front. I'm adding the lid with the tape runner as well. And even though I turned this into a shape card, you still could make this an interactive die because we placed that sage colored cardstock or that sage leaf colored cardstock over the top. So you still could make it an interactive piece. Now I added my band over the top using those thin foam squares. And here I played around with the leaves. I just could not decide if I wanted the dark leaves or the lighter leaves. I know once I brought in the lighter shade, I knew if I did use leaves, I would use dark. But since I was being very indecisive, I decided not to use any leaves and just have the sunflower be the star of the show. But I still wanted you to see what it would look like with those leaves on there. So I just decided to add foam squares behind my sunflower and pop it in right in the center of my card. Now at this point is where I usually remember I forgot to put a sentiment of sorts on here. So I am going to be decorating the inside of the card instead of the front of the card. Now you can notice here too that once I open it up, it stands up nicely on your card or on your desk. So it's a great display item. So since there was no way for me to stamp this without messing up and getting ink everywhere, I am just opening this up on my desk and I'm taping the bottom down with Post-it tape just to hold that down while I stamp. I went ahead and lined up a sentiment. This is off of the Treat Cart add-on coffee set. I lined it up on a clear block. I kept it straight by using the grid lines on my work surface, and I stamped it in a black ink. Then I also stamped this little leaf banner in dough ink, and that also came off of that Treat Cart add-on coffee set. So now this is my completed shaped card. This is going to fit perfectly inside of an A2 size envelope. It's not a lot of bulk to it, and it is just the cutest thing. Like I said, you could still turn this into an interactive card. It stands up nicely on the desk. If you wanted a little bit more stability, you could die cut the main shape piece from a 110-pound cardstock. And now just think of all the fun events and holidays that you could use this for just by changing up the theme of the project. I hope you enjoyed today's inspiration. Thank you so much for joining.